The human mind gets paralyzed by too much choice. It's overwhelming. By giving someone just two pre-selected options, you give them a feeling of autonomy, a feeling of control, while you, of course, maintain the actual control over the fundamental decision. Frame the choice and you frame the outcome.
There's a hidden language of the mind, a kind of secret power, really, one that allows you to read emotions, understand thoughts, and ultimately influence decisions.
Just imagine that for a second. What if you could subtly guide every single conversation, shape any outcome you wanted, and understand the unspoken currents in every single interaction, all without anyone ever knowing you were doing it?
Now, this isn't some kind of magic. It's psychology. Specifically, it's the world of dark psychology. These are the very tools used by some of the world's most effective leaders and influencers. And today, we're going to examine them. So here's our agenda. We're counting down 5 potent techniques for silent control. We'll start at number 5, the reverse trap. Then we'll move to master of choice, the guilt trap, the emotional hijack, and we'll finish with the most powerful of them all, the silent power. Let's begin. Okay, before we dive in, a serious word of warning. This knowledge, it's a tool. And like any tool, it can be used to build or it can be used to break. This explainer is for educational purposes only. So if you choose to use this knowledge, you must do so with discipline and with a very clear intent. All right, kicking off our countdown at number 5, we have something called the reverse trap. This entire technique works by leveraging a very simple, very basic human truth. We are all instinctively drawn to what's forbidden. So why does this work? Well, there's a psychological principle called reactance. Basically, whenever our freedom feels restricted, our first automatic response is to push back and reassert that freedom. So by showing someone a path and then just suggesting it's out of their reach, you're not just giving them a task, you're engaging their ego. You turn your goal into their challenge. And if you look at these steps, you'll see the key. The crucial point isn't asking them to do something. Not at all. It's about casting doubt on their ability to do it. The moment you trigger their ego, their deep-seated need to prove you wrong, to prove their competence, lines up perfectly with your objective. And they complete the task believing it was their own idea all along. All right, coming in at number 4 is the master of choice. We all like to think we're in the driver's seat, making our own decisions, but let's be honest, a lot of the time we're just choosing from the options someone else gives us. And that's where the real power is, in designing those options. Just look at this comparison here. The weak approach on the left, want to go out? That gives them an easy out. They can just say no and the conversation is over. But the powerful approach on the right, Pizza Hut or Domino's. See what happened? You've presented 2 options, and both of them lead to your goal. The decision is no longer if you go out. It's been changed to where you go. And the reason this is so effective is that the human mind gets paralyzed by too much choice. It's overwhelming. By giving someone just 2 pre-selected options, you give them a feeling of autonomy, a feeling of control, while you, of course, maintain the actual control over the fundamental decision. Frame the choice and you frame the outcome. Moving on to our 3rd technique, the guilt trap. Think about it. Direct confrontation rarely works. It just makes people defensive, it creates resistance. But guilt? Well, guilt is a much more subtle and frankly more effective tool. It's an internal emotion. It compels someone to correct their own behavior so you never even have to ask. The goal here isn't to attack them. It's to hold up what you could call an emotional mirror. You want to make them feel like they've fallen short, not of your expectations, but of their own internal values. You want them to question if they're living up to the person they believe they are. You know, a good, considerate person. And this example just illustrates the difference perfectly. The confrontational approach. You never make time for me. That's just an accusation. It's an invitation to an argument. But the guilt trap? I understand. If I were more important, maybe you'd find the time. That's a statement of resignation. It reframes their neglect into a reflection of your perceived worth, triggering an immediate desire in them to prove you wrong and make amends. Okay, technique number 2 is the emotional hijack. And this one is built on a fundamental truth about all of us. Most of our decisions are not logical. They're emotional. It's just how we're wired. When our emotions are running high, our ability to think rationally just weakens. And that vulnerability, that's the entry point. A person in the grip of a strong emotion, whether it's fear, love, pride, or anger, is going to make decisions based almost entirely on that feeling. Logic just gets pushed to the side. The emotional part of the brain literally hijacks the rational part. I mean, this chart really says it all. 80% emotion. We see it everywhere, right? Politicians don't win elections by listing facts. They win by stirring up feelings like pride or fear. Brands don't just sell you a product, they sell you a sense of belonging or status. The bottom line is if you can learn to influence a person's emotional state, their mind is very likely to follow. And now, we've arrived at our final and I'd say most advanced technique, the silent power. It's important to understand that the most powerful people in the room aren't always the loudest. In fact, often they're the ones who have mastered the strategic, disciplined use of silence. When there is a conversational void, the human mind instinctively rushes to fill it. It's uncomfortable. Your silence becomes a vacuum, pulling their thoughts, their insecurities, and often their confessions right out into the open.
And that discomfort, that becomes your strength. Suddenly, their own mind is doing the work for you, creating a pressure that you never had to apply yourself. Just think about that. With no words at all, you can instantly shift the entire balance of power in any interaction.
And make no mistake, as these steps show, this isn't about being passive. These are calculated, strategic moves. By staying silent, you let them talk themselves into revealing the truth. You let them argue against their own weakening points. You let their own mind defeat itself. This is discipline. This is control. So let's do a quick recap of the 5 tools of influence we've covered. We had the reverse trap, using no to inspire action, the master of choice, framing options to control the outcome, the guilt trap, leveraging emotion to compel self-correction, the emotional hijack, bypassing logic with feeling, and of course, the silent power, where you use absence to create pressure. Each of these techniques can be used to influence and control, but here's the other side of the coin. They can also be used to understand and protect yourself from manipulation. The crucial point is that this knowledge is now in your hands. So the real question isn't just how you will use it, but why. What will you build with it?